and we know it quite well, that this conference was a conference organized by Zikanandas and also to fulfill the agenda of Zikanandas. It's one of the conferences whereby ZANU PF members had no say. That is why we saw the Zikanandas recruiting thugs to actually go and fill up the chairs in that particular conference. Others were just following the orders from Zikanandas. I think a look into this picture that has been circulating on social media, particularly Chris Mutswangwa, the fellow appeared not pleased at all, as well as also Patrick Chinamasa. These individuals appears not pleased, especially on this particular picture, and I'm trying to zero in what exactly might have been the problem. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. Yes, it is true. ZANU PF senior members, though they may be pretending to be happy in front of Emerson Mnangagwa, I don't think they are at all happy, especially in their private spaces. I'll give an example of these two. We have Chris Mutswangwa as well as also Patrick Chinamasa. Remember, Patrick Chinamasa was the Secretary for Legal Affairs. He was reshuffled alongside Opet Mpofu. People tended to look at the reshuffle of Opet Mpofu because it was one of the highest and almost can say influential position with ZANU PF going into its conference. But they are not focusing also on the Zikanandas dealing with loose cannons like Patrick Chinamasa. Patrick Chinamasa is perceived by Emerson Mnangagwa as a loose cannon. There have been many plots to actually get rid of him. And you can actually, sometimes you see these fellows having to tweak from Mnangagwa. It is definitely not coming from the bottom of their hearts, most of them, because it is known, they know it very, very well, that if you stand against Emerson Mnangagwa, you are bound to lose your life or to lose your post in ZANU PF, within ZANU PF. Now, let's look at Chris. So, they changed, they punished, in fact, Patrick Chinamasa because of what he did in Bulawayo conference. Zikanandas that was a serious setback when Patrick Chinamasa came out and communicated that it was practically impossible to implement Resolution 2030, going to an extent of even quoting the statements that have been said by Emerson Mnangagwa, and also explaining that he has been at the residence of Mnangagwa several times to consult about the 2030 term extension of Mnangagwa, and Mnangagwa remained saying he is a constitutionalist, he will abide by the constitution, and having said so, concluding that it was practically impossible to mutilate the constitution to accommodate the ambitions of Emerson Mnangagwa to remain a life president. So what they did was a punishment, though he still remains under ZANU PF. I must tell you that that was a punishment, and these people in secret corridors, they realized that. And unfortunately, they would not love someone to speak like this. And also, Manins, that is Chris Mutswangwa. Remember, Chris Mutswangwa, if you want to see that these people are forced by Zikanandas to act in a manner they are acting, I strongly believe also Opam Chinguri is not for Zikanandas. They are just standing in front of Emerson Mnangagwa because they fear him, they fear that he may patch them and they will lose positions in ZANU PF. And that is why you see retired General Chiwenga being cool and at some point not actually acting emotionally, because he understands as a former, top military general within the military, that Mnangagwa is actually a very, very dangerous man. And in order for people to survive whilst they still possess some degree of power, they have to behave in a certain manner until Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa is actually removed. Remember, Chris Mutswangwa did the whole press conference lambasting this fellow. That is this fellow who has been promoted into the ZANU PF Central Committee. That is Gudagwashe Takure. He lambasted him. He went at length in actually describing what is publicly known, which this fellow is doing. Saying that he is rich because of ZANU PF. He was given tenders by ZANU PF. He's not rich by himself. Going to an extent of saying, he cannot use money to buy ZANU PF structures. How much will he spend to buy everybody? And not only was Chris Mutswangwa, also the wife of Chris Mutswangwa, coming strongly on Gudagwashe Takure. Chris Mutswangwa, I think, had to be called by Zwikanandas and threatened. Remember, one of his son is facing, has charges. He's supposed to attend court proceedings, and he was arrested by Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. Don't ever think, accept the propaganda that has been actually pushed by the faction of Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa to suggest that it was a retired General Chwenga who went after Chris Mutswangwa. Retired General Chwenga does not control the state institution. The person who is controlling the state institutions, it is none other than Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. So the arrest of Neville Mutswangwa, the son of Mutswangwa, was a way to actually say, you see, we can easily make your life difficult if you don't support a 2030 mantra. Most probably they listened to his calls. They understood that he was aligned to the other faction, but pretending to be working with Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. So you could tell even he was at pain, now trying to justify that he has to work with Gubagwashe Takure. The old man was at pain, but taming his pains because he has to actually abide. Remember saying, we have been old in ZANU PF and someone is just coming and thinking he can just parachute all of us and be at the top there, saying it would never happen. And I'm sure he was threatened to say, remember your son, we can still send him to prison. So that is what Mnangagwa does, especially to control people. Look at even people who are around Mnangagwa, people who are actually supporting Mnangagwa. Most of them, they are not in love with communities. They are not in touch with their communities. Chris Mutswangwa is unelectable. Gudagwashe Takure is also not liked. There is strong objection on Gudagwashe Takure. And not only that, you look at Owen Mutangube, he's known as a killer. He killed a lot of miners. Who are actually dealing with gold. You look at all these people around Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa, they are not in touch with the communities. Even this fellow who was reading the resolution, that is Ziambi. He was beaten numerous times. But Mnangagwa had to come to his aid. So these are people who cannot survive outside the messes of Mnangagwa, as well as also outside the money that they siphon from the state. So for individuals like Gudagwashe Takure, they buy their love. All those, just imagine he buys cars for all members of the Central Committee. What would be the implication? They would have to pretend to be loving him. It is not a genuine love. It is love that comes at a cost. As much as at the moment Mnangagwa may be looking at retired General Chwenga, he has so many enemies that he is eating with. He has so many of them. that are just pretending to be happy because of the circumstances and also for political survival. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Also, to remember to support my Facebook channel, that is Hlonipani Global News. I've posted a lot of video and content there. Please do follow that page. There is a lot that is happening interesting on that particular page. And also follow me on X.